Sis, on today's episode, I'm starting this season off transparent and vulnerable, and I'm basically going to be talking about where I've been as far as my emotions and my feelings about learning that I'm going to be a mom and how I plan to harmonize being a mom, my faith, and also business and prepare all of these things in 2025. So, girl, get ready. Okay. No judgment here. And I hope you enjoy this episode. You are listening to Call Her Profitable, the podcast where Jesus-loving entrepreneurs hit 5-figure months consistently, all while keeping God at the center of their business. I'm your host, Odaisha, certified business coach and multi-passionate entrepreneur, here to empower you with the tools to build a profitable, cash-flowing business. And on this podcast, we'll explore effective marketing strategies for attracting clients and boosting sales, along with simple methods for running your business effectively. And hey, if you're ready for accountability in both your faith and business journey, head over to thewomanofpowergroup.com to join our exclusive community. So sis, grab that notebook and that iced coffee and let's get to work. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode welcome to season 2 of the Call Her Profitable podcast. I'm super excited about this season, and I felt like God really put it on my heart to start this season off with like an update, honestly, like a life update, because a lot of the things that's going to be spoken about throughout this season have to do with just the shifts and the changes that is happening inside of my life. So today's episode is going to be titled Motherhood, Business, and Faith, and how I plan to harmonize it all and prepare for 2025. And I know the title says balance, but I like to use harmonize because what I have learned about balance is that some areas of your life are more heavier and weightier than other areas of your life, right? So my business doesn't come before my marriage, and my marriage is not above my relationship with God. And I find myself in this season of constantly asking God, especially when I found out that I was pregnant, asking God to show me how am I going to be able to manage and harmonize all the things. How am I going to be able to be a good wife? How am I also going to be able to be a good mom, but also steward well over the business and the ministry and the gifts and the talents and the dreams that He has placed inside of my heart? And a lot of the shifts and the topics that we're going to be talking about in season 2 is stemming from this place of uncertainty, a little bit of fear, and then tapping into the new season that God has for me in my life to honestly build that highly profitable, highly impactful, super simple to manage business, but honestly have a holistic and whole fulfilling life, right? If I could be honest, when I first found out I was having a baby, I was like, my first instincts was excitement. Like I was super excited and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did this happen, right? How did this happen? And just excitement, but instantly questions about what about my calling? What about my purpose? What about the business? How am I going to be able to do all the things started to kind of cripple me. I didn't know what that looked like. And I found myself in this space of being happy that I'm pregnant, but also just, I don't know, just kind of feeling a little bit weird about it, right? I should be excited. I should be grateful. God has blessed my womb, and God has expanded my family, and God is doing amazing things, and He's allowing us to have a legacy through this baby girl. In the same token, I'm like, well, but what about me? What about all the things that you have placed inside of me? What about the business, right? What about all these things? How am I supposed to do all these things and show up in my household? And honestly, I know that this fear stemmed from the idea that I have seen time and time again that in order to have a baby, like when you have a baby, you have to sacrifice yourself. You have to sacrifice yourself. You have to sacrifice the things that you wanted to do. You have to sacrifice your marriage. Like, it's just sacrifice, 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 as if I have to choose between the gifts and the skills and the talents and the business that God has given me or my baby. And I don't want to choose, right? When I look at the grand scheme of things, my husband and my family and my baby is definitely more important than the business. On the other side, I honor and I respect and I take very seriously the call that God has on my life. I mean, before he has knit me in my mother's womb, he had a plan for me. And I don't think that plan is only to be a mom. I think a part of that plan is to be a mom, but I don't think that's the only plan that he has for me. So once I found out I was pregnant and that first initial of excitement hit me, it also hit me like, okay, so what about the business? And what about all these projects that I started? And like, am I going to have to pick God? I don't want to have to put one down. And that is the place that I honestly found myself in for like 5 months. So at the time of recording this, I am about 7 months pregnant. So we're landing a plane here, right? Baby girl is going to be coming soon. And for the first 5 months of the pregnancy, I was very tired. I'm a very ambitious woman, wake up early, sometimes stay in the office late, getting things done, go-getter, hustler mentality. And one of the first things that I noticed being pregnant was that I didn't have the energy that I had before. I wasn't able to wake up super early in the morning, and I didn't have the capacity that I had before to get a lot of my workload done. So I kind of had to shift my mindset around what productivity looks like for me, right? What this productivity looks like for me inside the business without harming myself and harming my baby, but also being able to get done the things that I needed to get done. So that was like the first thing. That was like one of my first struggles was I'm tired. I'm not able to move at the capacity, at the pace that I was before. And I didn't know what to do about that. My next struggle was money. So, as entrepreneurs, we eat what we kill. So if we're not out there killing, we're not eating, right? And because my capacity and my energy was very limited is very limited because I am pregnant, a lot of the things that I would have pushed out already wasn't getting pushed out, which means I was not getting paid. And I didn't know how to feel about that. I didn't know what to do about that. I mean, my husband, he works and he takes care of us. But as I mentioned, and I know many of you guys that are listening to this podcast are multi-passionate and you're high-earning women, high-net worth women. We like to contribute to our household. So there was a season where my contribution to my household either stopped or it was very limited. And that was also a struggle for me because I'm used to always producing. But what I have found in this season of, honestly, it's a season of nesting was I was resting more than I was working. And I had to truly depend and rely on the faithfulness and the strength of God to get me through. I mean, God has been so faithful to me and my husband and our family throughout this season. We have not lacked anything. We have not gone without anything. All of our bills have been paid. But it's just that inner ambition inside of me that was really struggling with this. And I know this episode is not as like my other episodes, but I'm just being very transparent and vulnerable about just the journey of even finding out I'm pregnant and what some of my fears were and some of my thoughts were and some of my actions. Like, I'm just being very vulnerable about what was going on inside of my internal world during this time where I should be excited, I should be happy, but I was really going through the motions, really trying to figure out, okay, I don't know what to do. Hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this information. I just don't know what to do. I don't feel like myself anymore, and something has to change. And it really did this season of my life has really challenged my trust and my confidence in God. One of my spiritual gifts is the gift of faith, meaning I'm able to have unshakable confidence in God. And when he says something, that's just what it is. But I realized once I became pregnant and all these factors came up against me, my confident trust in God wasn't so confident as I thought. I really questioned a lot of the things that was happening around me. And I honestly did not think that I was going to make it. And I spent a lot of time praying and crying out to God and asking God to help me and to show me a way and show me what it is that I needed to do, and how can I surrender in this season? How can I quote unquote maintain, or honestly get rid of altogether, my inner hustler so that I can receive and stop trying to earn. And I truly believe this is like one of the most powerful lessons God is allowing me to learn about myself while being pregnant, is to receive and not earn. And I don't always have to be on this hamster wheel, in this rat race. I don't always have to be doing and going if I want to be profitable. I mean, the model that God has given me and all of us for this podcast is to build highly profitable, highly impactful, and super simple businesses to manage. That super simple business to manage key comes from a place of rest. It doesn't come from a place of hustle. It doesn't come from a place of grind. It doesn't come from a place of always having to be doing something, right? And this is what God was showing me. And so here's where I am right now. Many of you know or may not know, I am a full-time full-time entrepreneur. In the year 2024, God has really laid it on my heart after I got laid off to really hone in on my consulting business, really focusing on helping Christian women entrepreneurs build these highly profitable, highly impactful, and super simple businesses to manage. So that's really what my focus was all year, like building out the systems, understanding the needs of women like you, like really just honing in, sharpening my craft and all that good stuff. On the side now, I was and am working as a real estate agent. So I do real estate on the side where I help voucher clients or people who are like low income families find housing in New York. Here's how God works. Before I got pregnant, I felt God was kind of laying it down so I can hone in and focus more so on the consultant side of things. As I became pregnant, more pregnant, and really paced myself with what it is that I'm working on this year, God started to bless my real estate business. So this is a business that is already established. I already have the proper systems in place, the people in place, the paperwork in place. It's a business that I've worked on since I graduated in like 2018. So this business is already established as far as the systems and the processes that I have. So when someone comes to me, or a landlord comes to me, or a client comes to me, I take them down this very streamlined process that is not tedious for me at all. It's very easy for me to close that deal. Now, before I was pregnant, like I mentioned, I felt like God was asking me to lay it down so I can go all in on my business consulting. Once I got pregnant and I realized that I had to shift things around and I had to take a little bit more time to really map out what it is this business was going to do, God allowed that business to flourish. He sent people my way where I didn't have to go out and look for them. I didn't have to market or promote myself. He just sent referrals my way, and I was able to send them down my streamlined process and make money in my other business while I'm still nesting, right? And I'm still working on my main company, my business consulting company, but he's allowing cash flows to still come in. So that right there just shows me how it's really not about hustle and bustle and putting yourself out there. It really is one about having trust and confident faith in God through every season, because He will make way out of no way for you. But also, number two, having the right systems in place inside of your business so that when shifts happen, you're able to still show up, but not having to really like hold the wheel of things, right? I became pregnant. My capacity, my energy has decreased. However, because I have already established a system and a process in one of those businesses, when I receive clients and calls, it doesn't require much of me. It probably requires about 5 hours a week to really get the deal done. And that's only because I had the proper systems and processes in place. And this has really increased my faith and my confidence to know, one, I'm right where I need to be. And also God knows what He's doing. So with all of that said, here's how I plan to harmonize it all and prepare for 2025. The first thing is I'm going to scale back so I can scale up. This year, I had my hands in a lot of pots. Like I was just everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, podcasts, this, and that. Like I was doing a lot. And I realized that I needed to scale back some things so I can scale up. So I'm just going to focus on the main thing, right? The main thing for me is this podcast. That is what God has asked me to do. That is what my focus is, and everything else have to flow from the podcast. So I'm going to scale back so I can scale up. A part of scaling back also looks like simplifying my processes. Before, I had a lot of ways for someone to get to one place. I'm looking to streamline that so I don't have to manage so many different areas of my business. It's just going to be a very simple process so that I'm able to really scale that. And then once I have my energy and my capacity back, then look into adding on other channels and avenues. The second thing that I'm doing to prepare myself to harmonize all these things in 2025 is have a process and system for everything. So the reason why God was able to bless my real estate business in a way where I didn't feel overwhelmed or I didn't feel like out of breath or anything like that is because I literally have a process and a system for my real estate company. When a client comes to me, they're going through a simple, streamlined process from start to finish. I have a CRM system that I use to capture information. I know exactly who to reach out to and when. So this is something that I'm also going to be, and I have been doing during these days of resting. I've been putting a lot of my efforts towards my back-end system and preparing it for 2025 so that when that overflow, when that cash flows come, I'm also ready. And one of the last things I'm doing right now to prepare as well my business for 2025 and also just harmony inside of my household is I'm getting my paperwork in order. And this is something that is like, kind of hard for me to say because I pride myself of having a gift of administration, being very organized. But when I went to God during one of these nights where when I was trying to figure out how am I going to do all the things, how I'm going to be a mom and a wife and a business owner and what the business is going to look like and stuff, and asking Him to really scale my business, God pointed out to me, He said, you're not even ready for your 6-7 figures. You're not completely ready. Your business back end, as far as the paperwork, is not ready for that. And he explained to me how, like, just to be very raw and transparent, he basically was like, you don't know how much you paid your team this year. You don't know exactly the amount that you made each quarter. You don't know how much you have invested by the dollar amount. I mean, my husband and I had went to go get pre-approved so that we can purchase another property. And they were asking me for paperwork that I honestly did not have because up until this point, I was working 9 to 5. I had a W-2, but the paperwork for a full-time entrepreneur is different. I didn't have these things in order. So that is something else that I'm also doing to prepare myself in 2025 is I'm getting my paperwork in order, meeting with a few CPAs to really get my books in order, to put myself on a true payment scale, give myself a salary, understand my profit and loss statements, like really position myself for this business to be able to manage at a high effective way. And I'm super, super, super excited to talk to you guys more about this. This is exactly where my heart is right now. Not only helping you to to have a highly profitable business, which at this point, when I'm thinking about it, is very easy to do. It's more so systemizing things and getting a back end together and making sure your paperwork is together so that you'll be able to sustain your business, right? Making sure that you have a process for everything. So when it's time to hire somebody, you have an onboarding process, you have an offboarding process. When it's time to get your clients, you know exactly the steps to take them to get to where they need to be. This is something that a lot of us business owners are missing out on. And it honestly took me having to become pregnant for God to sit me down and really help me to reflect on, okay, well, there's some shifts that have to be made. And last but not least, another thing that I'm doing to prepare myself to harmonize everything in 2025 is I'm learning to receive and not earn. If pregnancy did not teach me anything else, is that honestly, I am on somebody else's timing, and that somebody else's timing is God's timing. Like I mentioned, there's days where I slept more than I worked, and I just had to be okay with that. There's days where I was able to earn 4 figures in a day and I didn't even do anything, right? I received that. I didn't earn anything, right? So I'm preparing myself to sit when God tells me to sit, to rest when he tells me to rest, to scale back when he tells me to scale back, to move forward when he tells me to move forward, or just stop when he's telling me to stop. And knowing again that this is his company, this is his business. He knows the plans that he has for us, right? We don't have no idea what is going to happen to us in 2025, but he knows. And honestly, I'm tired of the rat race. I'm tired of the hustle and the bustle. And I'm really just tired. And I really am looking forward to getting to a point where I can have that harmony in my home, where I can just be nesting and breastfeeding my baby girl and money is just hitting my account and I'm good with that, right? And that's the place where I'm looking to get to. And I know that we all will get to there at one point or another. So I'm super excited about this season, sis. There's just so much in store for this season. Over the next few days, I know that I mentioned some of the things that I'm doing to prepare myself, my business for 2025. So over the next few episodes, I should say, I'm going to be going more in depth of how I plan to do this. So over the next few episodes before we hit 2025, I'm going to be talking about 4 steps to prepare your business for increase. I'm going to be talking about the tools that I use for easy workflow and cash flow. And then I'm also going to be talking about process and systems every business is need in order to thrive in 2025, even if you're just starting out. So sis, I am so excited. Let me know how you feel about this episode. Let me know if there's anything in here that has resonated with you. If you have any words of encouragement for my moms out there who's already doing the things, who's already a mom and a business owner, any word of encouragement and advice, I will take it all. Sis, I love you. I love you. I love you. Send this episode to a sister in Christ that you know that it will encourage, and I will see you in next week's episode. Bye. Hey sis, I hope today's episode blessed you. If it did, would you take just 30 seconds to share it with a fellow Christian woman entrepreneur who's ready to step boldly in her God-given business? And hey, don't forget to leave your girl a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps to get the word out and lights me up to know that this podcast is actually making an impact in your journey. All right, sis, time to get back to building that kingdom business and claiming those 5-figure months. I'll see you next week for another power-packed episode. Stay blessed and profitable.